Hi, this is Gloucester Township Mayor Dave Mayer, and I'm joined today with the Gloucester Township Ministerium, Pastor Wilson, Father Joe, Pastor Andy, Pastor Davis, Deacon Shoemaker, and also Chief Harkins from the Gloucester Township Police Department, along with Captain Stolzheimer and Lieutenant Gittens. And I appreciate everyone taking their time today to update our community as to our response to the COVID-19 crisis. Before I do that, though, I just want to say how fortunate we are in Gloucester Township to have a ministerium. The ministerium meets monthly and every other month with me to update me about the challenges that perhaps the congregations are facing, and also gives me an opportunity to update the ministerium about what is happening in the town. And so I appreciate all you being here today, but of course throughout the year. And Pastor Wilson from Choose United Methodist Church is the chair of our ministerium. And Pastor, I thank you for your leadership with the ministerium and really opening the lines of communication, which I think is vitally important. And so maybe, Pastor, you can tell everyone a little bit about the ministerium.
Well, the ministerium is a group of all the clergy in Gloucester Township who would like to come together and share. We meet monthly. 1 month we meet with the mayor and some of our community relations folks from Gloucester Township Police Department, as well as we meet once the other month with some of the community relations people and the clergy around breakfast at that time. We share together the community needs. We always appreciate what the mayor has to say and share with us with updates about the community. We really appreciate the police department, and as they share with us how the community relations is developing and growing within our community and how we can work together hand in hand. So I really see it as a very cooperative way that we share hand in hand with community and with the churches working together for the betterment of Gloucester Township.
Yes, thanks, Pastor. I mean, it is so important that, as I mentioned, the lines of communication are open, and you know, our houses of worship play such an important role in our community, in any community. And so by coming together and meeting and communicating, we're certainly helping the residents of Gloucester Township and making this place great, this community a great place to live. So I thank you all for that. And you know, none of us thought we would be dealing with a pandemic, but we have been, and we're going to continue to be dealing with that. And certainly, at the front of that is the health and safety of our residents and the congregations. And so we've taken steps. I know on the municipal level, certainly taken steps to continue to provide service, but to make sure that our public and our employees are safe. And you all are doing the same. And you know, maybe Father Joe, you could talk a little bit about how the church has been dealing with this crisis. I know the restrictions are starting to get lifted, but early on, you know, certainly they were very restrictive. But maybe you can describe some of the challenges that you had.
Morning. Yeah, one of the major changes was not being able to worship in the church. We were so fortunate that we had forethought to stream our masses, so we would get 300 to 400 families zooming in on the masses, which was good. Kept us together. Doing it on Facebook and things like that. It was also good to have feedback from the people. We've also done a lot of work with our food bank. It was amazing how many more people needed our assistance. So we've kept a good outreach in that.
Yeah, I know that's certainly challenging. You know, it's not a normal time right now, but still have to provide access to our churches, and using modern technology certainly I think helps. But Pastor Andy, I know we're starting to lessen those restrictions. The governor is coming out almost every week with more lessening of those restrictions. And are you now having your congregation attend church, or are you still on using social media and Zoom and all that?
We're still using social media for the moment. We still have to make some adjustments in the sanctuary for social distancing and figuring some things out about how we're going to do communion and all those wonderful things. Plus, we have a bunch of uh, hands-free sanitizing stations coming, but they won't get here for another week or so, and then we got to install them. But one of our problems too is the fact that when people come back, they're kind of grasping the fact that it's not going to be as it was before, because right now they're saying that singing is a real problem. That singing just puts so many droplets in the air that they're recommending you don't do those things in church at the time being, and people are having some issues with that.
Yeah, it's hard to deal with that when we're used to other ways, and so I know that's a big challenge. And we mentioned individuals out there that certainly have been affected, whether it's health wise or financially because of the economy being shut down. Losing their pay, losing their jobs, which is of course also tragic. And Pastor Davis, I know you do a lot of ministry in town and in the area, and I'm sure you're coming across people that are hurting in the community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It has been a huge transition for those who are less fortunate, those who were behind the eight ball, if we can say that, before the pandemic. And so it has been very challenging, just making calls and connecting with other pastors to see what we can do to help them as well. And we're a small ministry, but yet effective and trying to be effective and just having a heart of compassion and helping those that we can help. We have we're under the instructions of our national organization, and our national organization has not has recommended that all of the churches do not open. We will not be the first to go into the buildings at this time. So we are holding off on any indoor activity. And, the church building is just a building. We're so used to it, but we, the people, really are the church. And so it gives us an incredible opportunity, if you want to turn lemons into lemonade, I guess, as they say. It gives us an incredible opportunity to come out of the four walls and to bring the church to the people. So that has been an incredible plus, and to see, as Father Joe said, to see the reactions of the people in real time has been amazing.
Yes, and thank you for your work there. And as we were discussing the people who have lost their jobs and are struggling financially, and I think Father Joe mentioned the food bank and how much more busier the food bank is. And Deacon Shoemaker, you have been a strong advocate and someone who has worked so hard to open up what we call the 123 building, the food bank run by the ministerium. That has been a labor of love for you, I know, and it's been a great partnership with Gloucester Township. And for those that don't know, the 123 building was the old Gloucester Township Municipal Hall on Church Street, and we donated that to the ministerium to then open up a food bank. And Deacon, maybe you can kind of describe that process and then what services is provided at the food bank.
That building has been a blessing to the community in many ways. It's multifaceted in that first and foremost, it is the home of the Gloucester Township Food Bank, headed up by Deacon Ben Coates. Don't know where he gets his energy from at his age, but God bless him. They still continue to serve literally tons of food to the people who just can't afford food on a regular basis. They also contribute to their spiritual well-being as well. They just don't throw food at them. They listen to the people that come through the door, and they listen to their needs, and they pray with the people that come through the door. And it's surprising. I mean, it's in the tons of food a year. I don't know how many tons, but that's one of the facets of the building. The other facet is to contribute to Homeless Hospitality Network, to be able to support the men that are pulled off the street who have been substance abusers and whatnot, and literally get their feet back under them and rehabilitate them, help educate them, get them in jobs, and help reunite them with their families. That's another aspect of the building. Another aspect is use it as a counseling place where we can counsel kids at risk who are just having a lot of problems in life, where we can meet in a neutral zone, a non-threatening area or church. It's a neutral zone. And the nice part about the building is the fact that it's near public transportation. And so it's easily accessed. So we thank the township for that tremendous donation. It's been a blessing.
Yeah, Deacon, thank you, and for all the hard work. I know a lot of volunteers put a great amount of time into retrofitting that building, and so we're really proud of that. And thanks for the great work that you all are doing there. And Chief Harkins, appreciate you joining us today. And you know, the ministerium plays a big role in our community policing programs that we have in Gloucester Township. And maybe you can update everyone on those.
Sure do. So, Mayor, as I sit here, you know, and I see the faces, you know, we couldn't do our job the way we're doing it without all of the folks that are on this call and many more that you know aren't here. It's people behind the scenes. These partnerships that we had, you know, I talk about the food bank and you know the challenges of COVID when it hit us, and we're literally trying to write the playbook so that we have a playbook for, God forbid, if it happens again, we'll be better prepared in a better position. But, you know, we ran into vulnerable people who, you know, suddenly lost their jobs, didn't have food. We had seniors that you know, quite frankly, in the beginning, were scared to death to go out to the supermarket, which was understandable. So we had redirected with the schools closing our school resource officers. We bolstered our community relations bureau, and we made contacts with the ministerium, folks like this. You got to let us know who's in need, and we were directing them. The partnerships that we had, you know, that was in place prior to this pandemic hitting. If we didn't have that in place, we wouldn't have been able to do our jobs effectively. You know, I talk about food banks. If children are hungry at night and people are hungry at night, people get nasty, and we're human beings. They get angry, and they, you know, it's hard to get along, and with the stresses of financial. So every time that someone got a meal that was directed to a food bank through our ministerium and our churches and our houses of worship, that helped us police officers to prevent an issue from maybe happening. And, you know, they were trying times through the COVID pandemic, but we felt the support of our community drawing together at Gloucester Township that was, quite frankly, it was made us very proud. Those of us that were working in the midst of it, you know, the teamwork that was employed, the township directors and under the leadership of the mayor, we were on phone calls every single day, 7 days a week. Again, it was something that we weren't used to. These executive orders were sometimes not clear. They were doing the best that they could do. We had to get clarifications. But I see a lot of positive that happened. A lot of things, and some of you talked about church and some of the peace that was brought to people, and you know, people turned to their families, something that I personally think is so much in need. They spent more time with their families. They started to realize what was important. The officers here just stepped up to the challenge, you know, in ways that I could never even imagine. So proud of everything that they've done. You know, and it hit us pretty hard. Out of you know, we had 130 officers at the time. We had at one point 10 officers that were sick with COVID-19, but everybody rallied around. We did what we had to do. We got the equipment. We were in a good position at the beginning of it, better than some places, and we kind of learned as we go. And I'm proud of the decisions that we made. They weren't always the right ones, but they were always with the best intentions in mind. But what we have had partners through our chaplains, through our ministerium, through the connections that the mayor made, I couldn't do my job. These officers couldn't do their job without having that support. And I know that we were getting your prayer support, which was probably the most important thing that we needed to keep us going through the trying time. So for that, I am forever grateful for that. And certainly we continue to ask for your support and your prayers as we continue to go through different types of difficult times. But what a tremendous community this is. I couldn't be prouder to serve with each and every one of you. And just because I'm the chief of police, your role in our community is just as important as mine. And we know that here to serve. So thank you to all of you for your support and and keeping us connected with you and keeping us connected with our community here.
Yes, thanks, Chief. And you mentioned the police chaplain program that we've instituted here. And I know the ministerium has played a vital role in the creation of that and has been of so much great help to not only the department, but to our residents when there are tragedies that happen, and our ministerium is there and the police chaplain program is there. Maybe you can just kind of describe that program.
It's a gem of a program that we have. When we go out on a scene of someone who's suffering from the loss of a loved one or a violent issue that happened, the police officers have a job to do to keep the peace and to investigate. And, it's hard for us sometimes to remove our focus of being objective and whatnot. And we were missing something, an empathy that we needed. And as soon as we brought the chaplain program online and started having our volunteer chaplains come out, the officers are just, they're ecstatic because it lets them turn over a grieving person to someone who is trained, who is listening to them. And then it brings the officer's level of empathy. It improves it. It lets them see another side. It reminds us that we're peace officers. It reminds us that our job is to serve. And so that program, even through the pre-COVID and even during the current times, I have seen a chaplain arrive at a scene of a violent crime where I was commanding, and everyone was on edge. People were upset, and I watched that chaplain interact with the victim's family, other people that were there, and I watched the temperature of the crowd suddenly drop. I saw he just said a prayer with them. It was Father Canales, who I know couldn't make it today, but he brought the temperature down. He directed their attention to praying for peace and for us to do our jobs, and brought some solace. I'll forever, that was a very impactful. And I'm just giving one example. It's weekly. Whether it's a loved one that's passed away, whether it's someone who just needs some counseling, someone who needs a shoulder to cry on, our chaplains have stepped up in ways. I don't know how we did it before we had the chaplains, quite frankly. It's such a integral part, and we're always looking for that participation and the feedback, the growth that we've had from this chaplain program. We had a meeting just prior to COVID where we made some adjustments and things like that to understand. And it's been just a wonderful program. Again, I can't thank it enough. We will never not have this program because it's been so successful. It's truly a gem to our program. So I appreciate all of that support. And we've even improved trying to keep you informed. We keep the chaplains informed of things that are going on, and they have just become part of the fabric of this police department. So again, it's been just a great program.
Yeah, thank you, Chief, and again, thanks to the ministerium for helping to implement that program. As the Chief mentioned, it is absolutely vital and is making a difference in our community. So thank you. Pastor Wilson, is there anything else that you would like to add that we haven't covered that you think is important to cover?
Well, I think the important thing is to keep connected on where the food is being shared when. For example, at Choose, we have 2 food drives a month, one in cooperation with South Jersey Food Bank. And then also another time we have it local sponsors and church sponsors that provide fresh food once a month there. And also in the summer with the South Jersey Food Bank, we will be doing some food distribution to families who will not be getting the lunches they did during the school year. We'll be having lunches for all children or vulnerable adults during that time. So as we keep spreading the word and sharing with the community when there is need, we can provide a way to help. And every church has some program going on. So working together, we can certainly feed our community, strengthen our community, and support our community together.
Yes, thank you, Pastor. And that is so important as we continue to deal with the ramifications of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I thank all of you for not only taking time today, but every day to serve your congregations and serve the residents of our community. As I mentioned, you play such a pivotal role in our community and a very important function. And so we wanted to bring everybody together so that we can explain what's going on with the pandemic, how we're reacting to that. And I thank each and every one of you for your time today, and we'll certainly be in touch and continue that lines of communication. So thank you very much, and God bless.
Take care.
God bless.